Back here on Busted Open, Dave LaGreca, Mark Henry. It's Tuesday, so it's time for Mark Henry and your slip is showing.
Well, the subject matter is about Shaquem Griffin. Unbelievable talent. This guy was born with a small birth defect in his wrist and ended up having to have his hand amputated. Worked his ass off to be where he became as a college football player. And all of my respect goes out to him. My son absolutely loves this guy. And I couldn't help but do the same. I have a real fondness for people that don't take no for an answer, and also that work hard and don't complain all the time about stuff, even if it's warranted. And Shaquem Griffin is that guy. The Slip is Showing segment is not about him per se. He's just the subject matter. It's about the NFL. And the NFL has a lot of issues on their plate already. But from the ownership standpoint of all of the teams, the head coaches, the head scouts, the position coaches in the defensive side of the ball, linebackers, safeties, every last one of them slip is going to be showing if he don't get drafted in the first 2 days. And that's the third round. At the least, it will be 100% discrimination because he has a handicap, even though he doesn't act like he has a handicap. You can't go by a standardized test, and such as the combine is what people were saying, because he's not going to be able to perform well at the combine because he has a disability. Bullshit. This dude took a prosthetic arm and did 20 reps with 225 in the bench. He's got the fastest time in the 40 at 4.37 seconds. Wow. He has produced great film. You go by, his team went undefeated this year. Very likely, everybody said he should have been drafted in the late first round, the beginning of the second round. But all of the boards show that he's not going to get drafted until day 3 or 4. They're saying 4 to 7. I'm just completely and utterly disgusted at the fact that the NFL would allow this discrimination to go on. Now, he's going to have some problems. You're going to have to play him from the right side of the field because he'll be able to use his right hand. And he hasn't had any problems thus far, from Pop Warner football all the way to now. You look at the movie Ray Charles had an unbelievably hard time and a disadvantage, but he ended up being Ray Charles because he had the opportunity to be Ray Charles. Now the NFL needs to do the same thing. They need to pass a mandate down right now, from the commissioner to the owners to the head coaches to the head scouts, and say, listen, play him, treat him like any other player. Because if they don't, their slip is going to be showing. And if he don't get drafted high enough that it suits my fact, it suits me, my standard, I'm boycott. I'm not watching that.
Really?
Game. I'm aggravated, man. Like, they're really mistreating this dude. He is one of the best players in the field. Hit you and your mama will feel it. I mean, he has not ever had bad film. Every game he did something spectacular. Even as a gunner, which the gunner is the outside guy on special teams. This guy was going down with one hand and making the tackles. I mean, he ran the fastest time. He was in the middle of the road to the upper standard in strength. And his instincts are first class. First round, he should be a first round draft pick. If he had another hand, he'd be in the top 15, top 17 picks.
Mark, let me ask you this.
So the NFL, your slip is showing.
Let me ask you this. Is that a problem with the NFL, or is that a problem with the NFL owners? Are you saying that the NFL should put a mandate that he should be drafted within the first 3 rounds?
It's discrimination. It's the discrimination factor. The fact that people say, "Well, I don't want to take a chance on wasting a pick." You're not wasting a pick. The dude is talented. He's going to show up. But what's going to happen because of discrimination and not getting the opportunity to be drafted on the first 2 days, the money, they're looking at it like, oh, well, we'll get him for cheap in the 7th round. And that's discrimination. They're up for a lawsuit. They could be sued. You can't discriminate somebody because of a disability or something. Like if I had a speech impediment and I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor, if I was the best candidate, you got to let me have that opportunity, even if I have the speech impediment. And I listened to Bo Jackson's 30 for 30 the other day, and he talked about his speech impediment. And he was like, there was a lot of times that the reason I acted out was because people picked on me. And it made me uncomfortable, and the situation got worse. And that's another story. But the fact that he was able to persevere through that, it made him who he is. If the guy doesn't get a chance to persevere, then I'm boycotting. He needs an opportunity. They really need to start passing the word down from commissioner all the way to the head scouts. Like, this guy is an unbelievable talent. His film says he's a first-round talent. He needs to be drafted like one.